Hello and welcome to the Unlucky Frog Gaming Podcast. You are joined by your usual hosts, Tom Mannering.
Hello.
And myself, Josh Hartley. How are we doing this week, Tom?
I'm doing alright, Josh. I'm doing alright. How are you doing?
I'm good. I am in my new place.
You are?
Hooray!
So you know the funny thing is, right, you're in your new place and I'm sure it's great, but it looks exactly the same from my end.
Excuse me. The bookcase of games was much closer in my old setup.
That's true.
Yeah, it's all new.
It does make me chuckle though that it is almost like with a few very minor differences. It does almost look like you've teleported everything over directly behind you in the same positions.
I mean, yeah, of course, because this is like my office space that I'm in, and I know what I'm having in my office space. That is my computer setup and my collection of games. Sure. So, yeah, of course it is.
I'm not judging. I have the exact same setup.
Yeah, there we go. So, yes, it's good to have the wall of games back, although it's not quite complete. I need to... I've still got a stack of stuff to sort out.
It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, the house is chaos at the moment. But that's
allowed.
Fine. That is normal... given that I moved in yesterday, so
yeah, that's fair. I'll let you off this time.
Oh, this time.
It's one occasion.
And before we hit record there, Tom was laughing at the fact that he was looking at my shelves. Now, normally, actually, my bottom shelf previously was where I put all my terrain for Warhammer and 40k. But I've got a massive cupboard under the stairs now, so that's where that's going.
Nice.
But he was laughing because he can see that shelf, and on the shelf is evidence that I fell for the same Ponzi scheme that he did. In my copy of Dreadfleet is there.
I didn't fall for it, mate. I sold it.
Yeah. Did you not buy one?
No. I got given one.
Right.
I can't remember who gave me one, but yeah, I got given one a few years afterwards.
Fair enough.
I did not buy a Dreadfleet.
I might get around to painting it at some point.
Mine isn't even assembled, let alone painted. I think most of it's still in the plastic wrapping that it comes in.
Okay, nice.
Dedication to the cause. I'm gonna one day it will spike in value, and I will.
It won't. I will. It's a simple supply and demand, and there is no demand. Although it's funny actually, like thinking about like old boxed games. I don't know what brought this to mind the other day, but I was thinking of Hero Quest, and I used to have Hero Quest as a kid, and I kind of thought it'd be cool to have like not the redone version of it, but like the original, a copy of the original version. Oh my, that goes for some money.
Yep. Even like poor condition ones go for surprisingly high amounts.
The bad condition ones are going for at least £100.
Yeah. And like the good condition ones, you can get into the many hundreds for some of those.
Yeah, if I dread to think what like a sealed copy would be worth. So if anyone out there is listening has a sealed copy of Hero Quest and is willing to sell it to me for buttons, just hit me up.
If anyone out there is willing to forego hundreds of pounds for Josh, hit him up. The thing is, like, and this might offend your fragile sensibilities, Josh, but I don't think Hero Quest is that good, to be honest.
It probably isn't. It would be a purchase for me on pure nostalgia.
Yeah.
And like I'm a big fan of nostalgia. I'm a big defender of nostalgia. I think nostalgia actually does hold a lot of value. But yeah, I think as a game, it's probably not the best. I haven't played it since I was like 13.
Yeah.
So I have no idea whether it's actually a well-designed, fun game or not. But
I think it's probably fun, but I think comparatively to what's available nowadays, it's not going to stack up at all. And I mean, even even to its own sort of detractors, like Warhammer Quest, I always thought was better than Hero Quest, the original Warhammer Quest.
Yes.
And then like you look at obviously like the newer stuff as well, like Cursed City and Blackstone Fortress and the Warhammer Quest, Silver Tower in that as well. Arguably, you could say they're better. Certainly production-wise, they're better. Because good God, those minis are not good from the first gen stuff.
No. Although they are quite iconic, I would say.
Iconic does not mean good.
I don't know. No, I am going to defend them. Okay, I've picked a hill to die on. Okay.
And die you will.
Yeah, and die I will. No, right, because... And this is just for old miniatures in general. I genuinely think they have a lot of character to them, which... I absolutely admit, from a technical point of view, new minis nowadays are significantly better on almost every measurable axis. But I think something is lost in the fact that they are either mostly or entirely CAD design, CAD built. I think the fact that these little hand sculpted miniatures, I don't know, there's a little bit of, at the risk of sounding a bit like a hippie, there's a bit of the sculptor's soul goes into that, if you know what I mean.
Don't misunderstand what I'm saying, because I don't think that old models are necessarily bad. And I actually agree with you. I think there is something to hand-sculpted miniatures that has been lost a little bit in your sort of computer-aided design and all your kind of digital modelling. I agree with you on that front. My issue with the Hero Quest minis specifically, as well as some of the older minis that they mirror, is one, they are very flat because of the way that they were moulded at the time.
Sure. Yeah, that was a limitation of injection mold plastic.
Exactly
at that
right.
point.
Because they were one pieces, so they would be moulded and they would all have to be on the same plane.
Excuse me. The gargoyle you had to assemble.
All right.
You had to attach his wings to the main body.
Okay, the gargoyle was different. But I think even going off people doing the handcrafted stuff, at that point in time, the designs were still a lot blockier. They were still a lot bulkier, and they did, even with hand sculpting, they made a lot of leaps and bounds in being able to make them a lot more natural looking and
sure.
Better fitting.
Yeah,
so.
you can tell the difference between a miniature sculpted in the 80s compared to the 90s compared to the 2000s.
So I actually have a very incomplete copy of Hero Quest that I was given, and it had the hero models, a few bits and pieces, but doesn't have enough to play it. But I have all the hero models, and they're terrible. They are. I appreciate they are iconic, but they're terrible.
Come on.
No.
The barbarian, the classic sort of Conan style with his broadsword.
Garbage.
Hold on. I have to whip out the meme as well. Go broadsword.
It is
the barbarian
garbage.
with his broadsword.
No, it is garbage. The wizard looks terrible.
Oh, come on.
They're terrible, mate.
What I love is that dwarf is just a class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Class and race.
That's your job. You're a dwarf.
Yep. I think elf was the same at one point as well. Elf. He was the same in D&D as well. What are you playing? I'm a ranger. What are you? An elf. Okay. Guess you don't have a job.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I'm sorry. You're looking at it through rose tinted glasses here, mate. They are not great models. They are iconic, and they led to a lot better models. But they are not great.
All I'm saying is that there's a certain charm to them.
There is a charm, but charm doesn't mean great.
I don't know. I clearly put a lot more stock in charm than you did.
Which is weird, because you don't have any.
Wow! Oh, man! Wow! I'm just going to sit in silence for a bit while I recover from that. Jeez, oh, man.
It's been a while. I've not been able to hit you with one for a bit.
Yeah. Oh, hit me you did. Jesus.
I've been quite nice to you for a few episodes, to be fair.
You have, actually. Do you know what? This is your game, isn't it? You're nice to me for a while just so that it hurts that little bit more when you, like, go for it. Oof.
It's all about lulling you into a false sense of security, letting your guard down a little bit. You just relax into it, and then straight to the gut.
Is there a retro... Just ignoring what you just said there. Is there a retro game that you would be interested in, like, picking up again?
Yes, if I could get a copy of 2nd edition Warhammer, which was my first box set I ever got, I would really like that. Like a really good copy of 2nd edition Warhammer 40,000.
Right, there we go, okay. Because I was racking my brain there and I was thinking, did they have a box set for 2nd edition Warhammer Fantasy?
Oh, no, it's 40,000.
Okay.
That was the set I started with. I still remember, like, I have a very vivid memory of when I got interested in Warhammer and Warhammer 40,000. I'd gone into a Games Workshop in Manchester with my mum, and I'd been just badgering my mum about it so much as I was like very early teens, if not like 11 or 12, and I just like badgered the hell out of her. And eventually she kind of broke, and I remember she sat me down in the living room with the Argos catalogue, and we were sat on the floor, and we like found the section that had Warhammer, because we didn't have a Games Workshop where I lived. We found the section that had Warhammer in it, and they had like the main boxes and a few, like a very, very small selection of other boxes. And this was before we realised that there was actually a shop in Burnley that did sell Warhammer. And she pointed at, I remember it was Warhammer 40k, it was, I want to say maybe Warhammer Quest, and maybe something else. I think there might have been 3 boxes.
Would it have been Necromunda?
Might have been Necromunda.
Might have been. That was out at a very similar time to
Yeah.
like 2nd edition 40k.
And I was really torn between, I remember 40k and the other one, which was definitely a fantasy one. It wasn't 3rd edition, because 3rd edition came out when I was already playing it. But I remember I was really torn between the two of them, and I was like, I'm gonna go for this one. And then my mum took me down. Sorry, I'm giving you the entire recount.
Go for it. No, I love this.
My mum, like, we lived about a 20-minute walk from the town centre, and my mum walked me down, and I was just like buzzing the whole time. I was like, because I was a very excitable child, which is weird if you meet me as an adult.
You are like the opposite of excitable as an adult. You got
like,
all of your life's excitement out of the way in your formative years, clearly.
I was like, oh my god, I'm going to get this game, it's going to be amazing. And then we got it, and I carried it home, and and this is the downside of not having a local Games Workshop, folks, because we opened it, and I didn't have any clippers, and I didn't have any glue. You could sort of clip it together because they were very basic models, because it was the old Space Marines that you pushed the gun in, and that was it. But like, it was all quite loose than that. So I kind of put it together, and I was really excited, and then my mum, to her credit, tried to play it with me and just couldn't. Like, she just couldn't figure it out.
Oh,
So,
I mean, hats off to your mum, though, for giving that a go.
100%. A 2nd edition Warhammer 40k was no slouch either.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, you don't have vehicles in that starter set, because if you did, my god.
Well, you
the
have
vehicle
the
rules,
cardboard cutout Orc Dreadnought.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, the Orc Dreadnought standard.
That would give the Orcs a chance.
Yeah, very much. And yeah, that was it really. I think we found out a few weeks later that there was like a store that I actually ended up working at when I was a teenager that sold like.
This is the toy shop, isn't it? You mentioned it previously.
Ben's toy shop in Burnley. Yeah, it's not there anymore, unfortunately, but it's private. It was a little toy shop. It was really sad. It closed down when I was in my late 20s, I think. But yeah, it was quite sad because I worked there for donkeys. I worked there for like 4 years all through like college, and even when I was in my first year at uni, when I went home for summer after the first year, I went back to work in there as well for a few months because it was easy. It was easy money. Yeah. And it was so old how they ran things that you actually got your pay on a Saturday. At the end of your Saturday shift, you got an envelope with money in it. Like you would have actual notes and like coins and coppers in a brown envelope that you would get on the end of your Saturday shift. And
the taxman knew nothing about it.
I think they kept books, because I think we did actually get taxed. I think there was, you had a little payslip in it, and I think it did have like your tax deductions on it. So
okay.
It wasn't dodgy like backhanders. They were all like running all their books, but they were actual books as well, because this was like, it was only a little private like mum and pa like owned shop. It was an old couple that ran it, and they actually kept physical books and things. So there you go, little trip down Tom's early years of employment and 40k.
40k in employment coming at not the last time it would come at a cross section for you as well. But
nope.
Just on another note, while you were speaking there, I've had a quick shifty on eBay. Now I haven't been able to find. This listing is a lie as well, because I'm looking at the photograph, and so this listing describes itself as Warhammer 40k 2nd edition starter set plus Dark Millennium on sprues. Now it's not entirely all on sprues. Okay. I can see some of it has been assembled. But how much do you think this guy is asking for that?
A couple of hundred.
£379.95.
Jesus. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, nostalgia ain't cheap.
Nope. No, it is not. But it's like you say, it's supply and demand, and unfortunately the supply for things like that in any kind of decent condition is slim to none, because you can guarantee there are copies of that, and I know mine is one of them, that would have just got thrown out at some point in time.
Yeah.
You know?
And it kind of, because they've done it with books, right? Games Workshop have like reissued things like 1st edition 40k, and like the 2 Chaos supplements, the original Chaos supplements that came out.
Yeah.
They've reissued those books. They could make an arm and a leg if they did like it was like they've done for some of their releases where they just manufacture to order.
Yeah.
Like if they did 2nd edition 40k, that would be just a license to print money. Like I think they could probably charge 150 quid.
Yeah.
And people would be like, I want that. I want this like reproduction copy.
Well, a lot of like Call of Cthulhu and Wizards of the Coast and stuff like that as well, they do print on demand stuff where you can get really old content and it's just like reprints of it basically. But apparently I've seen some sort of stories on the internet where the quality is not that great, because they've basically taken very high quality photocopies fundamentally, like very high copy scans, and then relayed them in. But because the way books were bound then is different to how books are bound now, what you find quite often is that like stuff gets stuck in the seam, like that you can't read it basically, because back in the day they would do very weak spines, so you could like basically bend the book back on itself kind of thing, whereas now they'll do a tighter bind, which means you don't have as much pull back on it, so you can't get into the inseam, which is really problematic with maps, because the map will connect across pages and you can't get to like the central part of it.
Like the one bit that your game is focused on is in the spine.
Yeah, pretty much. But it is good, you know, at least there's, I think you can get like the original Ravenloft module and stuff like that from the old editions and stuff, which is really cool, and it's nice that that's there, that you can get it. But I suppose it is, you know, it's never going to be the same, because it's not the same.
No, that's true. Anyway, we have pontificated enough for a bit. We're going to pontificate more, but on a specific subject now, on a planned subject. In that last weekend, on the 30th of October there, it was Warhammer Day, and as Games Workshop is wont to do, they have revealed a load of upcoming releases. So Tom and I are going to discuss them for the rest of the episode, basically.
So if you're not interested in Games Workshop releases,
now's the time to like
probably end the episode.
Off, but
you can, however, follow us on Patreon.
Yes. If you want to hear other content or more of the same content, follow us on Patreon. We're very grateful for our Patreons. So link in the description below. etc. Hit like and subscribe.
Should we start with what I'm most excited about?
Well, it was the first reveal as well, so that makes sense. So on you go, Tom. I'll let you take this one.
Thank you. So this was kind of at the very start, and I feel they led with the best personally. So they have announced a new box set that's coming out, and a couple of new codices.
Codices.
That
we covered this in a previous episode. It's definitely codices.
So they are releasing Codex Adeptus Custodes, which is great, but we'll move on past that. And they're also
wait, Tom. I want to talk more about the Golden Boys.
I don't think you do. I actually really like Adeptus Custodes. I think they're quite cool. They're one of those ones that I'm like, I don't ever feel they should have been an army, because to me they're like Earth's defenders, right? They're supposed to be like basically standing in front of the Emperor pretty much. But I understand they've expanded beyond that now, and they're their own thing, and fair play to them.
Well, and sort of in design and mechanics of that army, they are somewhat unique for 40k in that they are the super elite army.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's the old. I remember someone posting a meme of like where when your opponent shows up with a 2,000 point Custodes army, and it's just a shot from the episode 1, the opening scene of one of the Trade Federation guys just going, "This is ridiculous. Now there's 2 of them." And actually, like the box set they've revealed, I did find quite funny, but we'll get onto that in a moment.
Yeah, but perhaps most excitingly, the other side of it is the reveal of the Genestealer cult's new codex, and a miniature as well, which is included in the box. So the box they've announced is Shadow Throne, a bloody war of Talon and Tendril, which is really cool because it's basically the narrative is that the Genestealer cults have got real close to home with their most recent infiltration, which is obviously on brand for them. And the Adeptus Custodes are holding the line at the back pretty much. So I think to your point that you're probably hinting towards is in this box we've got kind of a picture of the content, and you've got sort of quite a few Genestealer cult minis, some different characters and stuff. And then on the Adeptus Custodes side of it, you've got like
bugger all
9 models, I think.
Did you know what? Actually, here's the thing. I know how the Custodes work. Those Genestealers don't stand a chance.
No,
like those Custodes are gonna bloody paste them.
So I will say, in the Genestealers' defense, you're right. I suspect they are probably going to get knocked up and down the battlefield, but they do have the Patriarch, which is solid. That is it.
Patriarch's a nasty model.
I run that in my list, and Genestealer cults aren't the best, as I have spoke about. Although I have won a game with them, but they are that model. If it hits, it hits.
Yeah,
hard.
yeah, he's nasty.
But yeah, so they've got the things that come out as well. There's 2 new models that are coming out in this set. So there is the new Adeptus Custodes model, which is it's like a Crusade Blade Champion. That's the one.
Mm-hmm.
Who's a new character type for them, who can switch between 3 different fighting styles. A colossal, he could take down colossal monsters, skilled leaders, and swarms of lesser creatures. So I suspect he's going to have like a range of different attacks to deal with different
multiple attack profiles.
Yeah,
basically.
So that's pretty cool. And then for the Genestealer cults, there's this really nice new model.
She looks great. Yeah,
which is they've given her a name. They've called her Mercia Thrake. I don't know if she's going to be a named character or if that's just the name they've given to this particular model in the box, perhaps. But she's a saboteur.
Yeah, they've done this previously in that they'll name models, but they're not like named characters in the codex.
Okay,
yeah, because I can think of a couple of Necron and Blood Angel examples.
Okay, that's good.
But I like that though. It's kind of it's neat that they give you like something to work with if you want to. or otherwise they can just be your, whatever your commander in your army.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm super psyched about this because obviously it means for me new codex for my Genestealer cults in the new edition, which is a great position to be in, and it's sooner than I expected it was going to be, which I'm psyched about. Potentially a new model as well. I won't be getting this box because I've got every model that's in it with the exception of that one, but she will get a release separately at some point.
Well, I was going to say, like, the nice thing is you'll be able to pick her up from, like, Troll Trader or eBay or something, so...
Or I can just wait till she gets released officially.
Or you could do that. They don't always do that. They sometimes wait years.
I think she'll get released within a few months. Is my gut on it, because I suspect.
Tenna says she doesn't.
She's all right.
All right. Okay. As our audience, as our witness, right? A few months. Define a few months.
4 months.
4 months. Okay.
Yep.
Within release of this box set.
Yep. She'll hit the market 4 months.
Tenna says they don't do that.
All right. Tenna's on.
There we go. Tune in, folks,
to find out the exciting outcome of this on-air bet. Yeah, and you made me lose my train of thought. Yeah, the other thing I was going to say
what I do best
is obviously my Genestealers are being painted up slowly but surely. So I will hopefully have those back in time to utilize this codex, which I'm really excited about.
What are you hoping to see from the codex other than just them being better?
I would just like a bit more. I don't think they're terrible, is the thing. When I've played them, I was getting a feel for how they work, and they don't stack up to other armies in a lot of ways. I think there just needs to be a little bit of point balancing for some of them. And for me...
Yeah, what are the big guys called? Because they're like way overcosted.
The Abomination chaps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because they are good.
They're good.
But they cost far too much for what they are.
Yeah, they're like... I think they're more than a Space Marine. Like, each one of them is more than a Space Marine. And they don't rack up to a Space Marine. Like, pound for pound. Like, if they get into combat, they're nasty. But you can gun them down relatively easily with enough firepower. So that and they're close combat enemies. So, you've got to get across the field. And I know that's easier in games now because the field's usually a bit smaller. But it's still a lot.
I suspect that they'll give the Genestealer cultists like a lot of tricks to like get across the board without being shot at and the like as well.
I mean, the cultist list does have its own fair share of shooting as well, so they're not without that. The thing for me that's kind of always been a bit annoying is they're a fairly swarmy army. Like, you can do kind of elite with the Genestealers and the Abominations and things, but for the most part you're going to have quite a lot of little dudes. But you've got a limited number of character slots without like going to town, and having like multiple groups, to have enough characters. And with the exception of the Patriarch, your characters are fairly like they're decent, but they're not amazing. And I would like it, and I don't know how they do it, but I would have liked it to be able to take more characters. Because
they've done it for a few of the. I know for a fact they've done it with Death Guard.
Yeah,
because that's one of the armies I collect. But I think they've done it with some of the other armies where you can take multiple characters as like one slot in your roster.
Okay, that's cool.
So that's a way to do it, because with Death Guard it's like the elite characters rather than the HQ characters. You can take like up to 3 as like one slot.
Yeah. So I kind of want to see some of those characters pushed into like different slots, because I have all the characters pretty much, and some of them like I'd love to take them, but you're just not going to take them in place of like things like your Patriarch or your Magus and stuff like that, and it's like it's just not, they're not applicable enough. Whereas if you could put them in like an elite slot where you've got a bit more room, you'd be more inclined to take them. Although you do put your Genestealers and your Abominations in elites as well, but you're only maybe going to have 1 or 2 squads of them. So
yeah, and you get a lot of elite slots as well. So
yeah, that's kind of my That's my 10 cent on it. Do you want to move on to the next one, since I've talked about that one for 10 minutes?
Yeah, no worries. So next up, they revealed for Age of Sigmar, we've got a new battle tome coming out for Maggotkin of Nurgle. And this was a little bit of a surprise for me. I didn't think they would be revisiting the Maggotkin in like the new edition this soon.
I don't know what is going on with Games Workshop at the moment, and I don't dislike it because I'm a big Nurgle fan, but they seem to have a real thing for Nurgle over the last couple of years.
I think Nurgle is either the favourite or second favourite Chaos God, like among fans,
and I can understand why. It's a really interesting Chaos God, and they've got some lovely horrible models.
Yes,
but like I was a bit like you. I was a bit like, okay, another Nurgle book. Fair enough. I guess we can have some more. But I think it's good because the Maggotkin haven't really been touched on since the end times, have they? They were kind of released.
They had an Age of Sigmar battle tome, and they released some new models with that.
Okay.
But that was a while ago, and the model range isn't actually that big.
No.
When you look at it.
It's
they get
the big
access
guys,
to all of the demons, is the thing. So they can get away with only having like a small number of kits for just that faction, because they can just take all of the Nurgle demons anyway.
Yeah. But this they've announced this new model, the fly model.
Oh, he looks great.
Which is really cool.
He looks awesome. Well, so hold on. The fly head is optional.
Yeah.
Like, you could give him the hooded face as well,
and that's
which
a
is
good,
nice.
that's
I like having
say,
choices,
and that's a good head as well. Like both of them are kind of horrible in their own way. I think you're going to see the fly head more though. I would imagine, because it's a funky looking head and it's very fitting for Nurgle.
I think we might see this model in 40k as a plague caster quite a lot as well, to be fair.
I think my gut instinct is this is going to be a bit like, do you remember the Nurgle model holding the axe that just was like
one of the best models they've ever done, and one that I own, that I converted into being a plague marine.
Yep.
Yes,
I have the same thing. I have that model 3 times. It is a great model, but my god, did it like see overpainting. Like every golden demon would have like 6 of those at them. But
it's I stand by. I'm not exaggerating by what I said. I genuinely think that's one of the best model. It would make my top 10 of Warhammer models of all time.
No, I'd agree with you. And I think this one is potentially has got the plausibility that it might sneak up into that sphere as well, because there's
Tennis says no. I'm not.
just bet on everything from now on. I think. It's got some nice detail on it. You've got the scrolls, the bell, the fly wings, the candles, but it's not overly detailed. Like there's enough space on it you can do stuff with.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is kind of I've mentioned this before. You know, it's one of my bugbears with a lot of modern day GW models is they're too busy. But this one is it seems to be in the right kind of place.
Hit the sweet spot for you.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I look forward to seeing some more of that. Should we do the next thing?
Yeah. So this was a bit of a surprise, but I like it. Now they have announced a new box set for Blood Bowl, which is called Dungeon Bowl. Now, if you've been into the hobby for a while, you might remember the first iteration of this. Dungeon Bowl was originally a rule set printed in White Dwarf, where you could play Blood Bowl using tiles from Warhammer Quest. Now, I actually had the issue of White Dwarf where this came out. I don't have it anymore, obviously, because I was a child then and it just got thrown out. But my god, I wish I kept it. But it's a callback to something that I felt was a bit obscure. But I guess it must have like somewhat of a following. But yeah, so you get a bunch of tiles. The tiles being like pretty reminiscent of original Warhammer Quest as well.
Yeah.
And you get 2 teams. Now, the models from each team none of them are new. I'm looking at them right now, and they're all like pre-existing models. I'm pretty sure. But it's a nice repackage, and I'm assuming that there's gonna it looks. I'm looking at the photo, and it looks like they've kept a lot of the features from the original. So
well, hang on a minute. Pump your brakes here, because you're talking about the teams, but you've glossed over something there. I don't know if it's new in Blood Bowl now, but I've not seen it. The teams are different races within the teams.
Yes, so there are a couple of Blood Bowl teams that you can compose that are similar to that. I'm specifically thinking of Underworld Denizens, which are like a mix of goblins, Skaven, and you can put like trolls in that team as well.
But I mean, the teams we've got here, we've got ogres, dwarves, and goblins on the same side.
I believe they're actually Noblars.
Oh, all right.
He pushes his glasses up his nose.
And then on the other side, you've got Skaven and Dark Elves, or Drow, or Druchii, or whatever you want to call them. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really cool. Like that's a really interesting way to kind of mix it up, because it says in the description, every team is handpicked by a wizard from one of the 8 colleges. So you'll see all manner of races and positions playing for both sides. So you've got a lot more. It sounds, at least to me, like you've got a lot more customization in your team, which is, I think, is really, really cool.
Yeah.
This is probably the first time I've ever looked at something from Blood Bowl and gone, I would play that. Because I don't really like Blood Bowl.
Yeah, you spoke about Blood Bowl previously.
But this looks cool. This is a nice way to merge the two together, and kind of still have this to me is what Blood Bowl should have been in the first place, to be honest. Like this, like the concept of people playing actual American football in the old world has never been something I've been like, that makes sense. And I know it's not meant to make sense, but like it just never rang right with me. It was just too dumb, right? To be like, if it had been like a game in a White Dwarf, I'd be like, okay, fair enough, fill your boots. But to be an actual release, I was always like, well, what is going on here? But this,
man,
what? Like, that's what I feel.
I know. I just like genuinely. I think Blood Bowl is not like. It's not only a great game. I think it's possibly up there as one of the best games that Games Workshop have ever put out.
And I'm not besmirching the game.
I'm
sure
okay.
The game concept, is fine.
It's the concept.
The concept is something that has never sat right with me, and because the concept doesn't appeal, the rest of it is falling flat on its arse in my mind.
Right. Okay.
You know, you've lost me.
For me, like I love the fact of how stupid it is.
I like the fact it's got comedy to it. That's always been the one thing that I think has gone in its favour. But this version of it, for me, it's still ridiculous. It's arguably more ridiculous in some ways, but it feels a bit more grounded in, like, you know, they've got a backstory to it of these wizards bringing people from different races together and, you know, sending them into dungeons to find a ball, which is mental, and then them obviously fighting their way through this dungeon as well. I don't know, it looks a bit more appealing to me. It's a bit more up my alley.
Fair enough.
You could probably convince me to play this where you would have a much harder time with Blood Bowl. And I'm not saying Blood Bowl is not a good game. I don't want any hate mail about, you know, my opinions on Blood Bowl.
Don't at him.
Yeah.
You
can't at me anyway, because I'm not on your social medias. But yeah, you know, it's just it's a lot better for me, and the fact that you can mix races as well. You know, if you're really gonna go all in on the crazy and the chaotic, and this is a good way to do it.
Yeah, no, fair enough. We've got a new release for Warcry next up. We have Warcry Red Harvest. We've got 2 new warbands for this. A new box set with like what looks to be completely new terrain as well. I don't think there's much to say other than it looks neat. I love the leader of one of the warbands with his like 4 arms.
Do you know? This is weird because this is going to be an episode where I'm going to be the one hyping things up because I think this is really cool.
Yo, it does look good. And we've got so we get 2 warbands in here.
Yep.
We've got a bunch of new terrain, a ton of new terrain. Actually, like I'm looking at the photograph and it's like there's so much terrain on there.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So both warbands look really cool.
Yeah, I really like this one. Really like it. I think this is arguably, for me, one of the best Warcries that they've released. I think the terrain is awesome looking. It's got a really kind of Isengard from Lord of the Rings kind of vibe to it. But it's really cool looking. The 2 teams, one of them's fine. They're good, and that's the sort of Chaos Warrior guys. The Marauder type faction, the Darkoff Savages, I think they are. But the other guys, the Spider dudes, are amazing. Like they are. Oh, nice.
I'm all about the Dark Oath Savages. They're classic barbarians.
Well done.
I love it. Like they've even got a guy who looks very similar to our Hero Quest guy from earlier.
Yeah, I see the model.
You see him. You see him with his big old sword, with his broadsword.
Well, I guess I know who I'm splitting this box with.
Happy to take you up on that.
No, they are nice. Don't get me wrong, but to me they're just a bit generic. They're cool, generic, but they're generic. Whereas I think the Spider guys are just really unique looking. They're a bit like the Corvus Conclave. Like I really liked them because they had a very clear aesthetic. You know, the big wings and the Raven iconography. These guys have got the same thing with like they've got like the webbing all over them, and they've got like the spider mask with the multiple eyes, and you've obviously got like their leader who's obviously got multiple limbs. So yeah, I think there's like I'm really torn on Warcry because I really like it. Like it's had some really nice releases, some really nice bands.
And the mechanically, I think it's a great game as well.
Yeah, but I've just not had the chance to play it.
Yeah.
And this is one of the slight issues I have with Games Workshop at the moment. Is they're releasing so much, you just cannot keep up with it unless it is like your one hobby, and you do all of it. Like you there is no way.
Well, guess what Games Workshop want you to do?
Everything. And just Games Workshop.
And do you know, it's funny you say this because it's a chat that's happening in the Magic the Gathering community a lot as well, is release fatigue.
Yeah.
Like just the notion that there's so much coming out that you couldn't possibly like keep up with it all and get everything. And it's not I don't think it's designed for any reasonable human being to actually get everything.
No.
Like these companies are just trying to offer so much that it appeals to everyone.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, in their eyes, they're putting all these things out and they're catering to the 40k fans, to the skirmish game fans, to the Warhammer fans, to the Blood Bowl fans. The issue is there's a lot of crossover. In that community, and if you want to be invested in all of them, you have to be A, fairly financially comfortable, and B, have a lot of time on your hands. And those two don't really go together that much either.
No, unfortunately.
So we've got one more kind of big one for this, and this is another Warhammer thing, but this is Warhammer Underworlds.
So we've got the new season of Underworlds coming out soon, Harrowdeep. We've seen the starter set for that already, and this is the first additional warband that they've revealed. And this is the insert name of warband here. Yeah.
Black Powder's Buccaneers.
There we go, thank you. So basically this looks to be a pirate-themed warband led by an ogre. and we've got some a couple of Noblars and some creatures helping him out as well, including a terrifying monkey with a knife. That's not an exaggeration or anything. I'm just describing what that miniature is. It is a scary-looking monkey holding a knife in its tail, which is kind of cute.
I do like the goblin having a peg leg. That's a nice touch. And then you've got like the sort of attack parrot as well, which is quite cool. I like that they've kind of picked a theme for this and they've very much tied it into that. It's
the main guy looks cool as well.
Oh, the ogre guys. Yeah, he's a badass.
Yeah, a huge sword and blunderbuss. Yeah, that's great.
Like it's such a nice kit. Like it's so cool.
I think, to be fair, the Underworlds line in general, they don't put out an awful lot of bad content for that. Every single warband that I can think of is like pretty good to great.
I think the strength of the Underworlds warbands is because you're doing a very small set per box. You know, you're doing maybe 4 to 5 models. You can really, and they all kind of have their own bit of character. Even the ones that are all just like kind of the same thing, they always kind of give them each their own bit of flair and their bit of character. Which you can't do that with, you know, armies and squads because there's just so much that you'd need to do. But with these, because each unit is its own thing, it has its own identity. They've been really, really able to kind of focus on the details and really give them, you know, that nice bit of character, which I think is really good. I could never get into Underworlds. That was the thing for me. I didn't hate it. I've played it a few times and I actually enjoyed it, but it never really kind of hooked me.
It's a great game. I couldn't keep up with it.
Because you were gonna collect them all at one point, weren't you? Like
I've nearly got all of the first season Shadespire. I'm missing one warband basically, and I've painted most of it as well.
Yeah, because
I kind of like the fact that I've got that. Like I've just got this like self-contained little thing.
That's cool.
But it's designed to be a lifestyle hobby. It's designed to be similar to something like Magic the Gathering, where you are like, that is what you do, that's what you focus on, and like that's your main concern in terms of your free time.
Yeah.
Which I didn't have the time to devote to it, unfortunately.
No, and I think that's fair enough. Like, you know, you've got, as you say, you've got that block of content. At least you've got something you could play with, and you've got a nice bit of choice in it. Are the old? I don't know if you know this or not, but I'll ask anyway. Are the old stuff still viable? Are they still like playable?
No. It's similarly to a game like to Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, and the like. They rotate out.
Right.
Basically, is my understanding. I could be wrong on that, but I thought that basically it's the current season and the previous season warbands that you can take.
Right. But could you still play them in friendly games, or?
Yeah, of course. Right. And it might just be the cards.
Right.
That might be the thing. Like, I don't know. But the impression I got was that they rotate out.
Okay. That's fair enough. Interesting.
Yeah. And then, just to round things out, we've got a couple of single models that they revealed as well. Everyone on the stream apparently got excited about the reveal for Jaghatai Khan for the final for Horus Heresy, the final Primarch to get a model. He looks neat. Do you have anything else to add to that?
No, not really. I've always had sort of a very meh kind of opinion of the Primarch models, and it's not that I don't think they are stunning models, because I do think they are beautiful models. I think more or less all of them are fantastic pieces, and they have a lot of character. You know, it's great to see these iconic characters from the lore brought to life. The issue I have with it is I don't know anybody that plays
Horus Heresy.
Yeah. Like, even when I worked, and I'm sorry to say this, but even when I worked at Games Workshop, I could count on one hand how many people had even bought Horus Heresy miniatures, let alone play it.
No, to be fair, I think it does have quite a strong following.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the number is high, but the intensity.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's got a small but loyal following.
Yeah.
is probably my impression of it.
I think there are a lot of people who will be buying, and it's always the case that people buy models with no intention of playing them, just to have them. I think they're like, for Horus Heresy though, and the Primarchs in particular, there are loads of people do that.
Yeah.
They just have them as like collector pieces, and I think that's fine.
Yeah, if I bought models just to paint them and have them as set pieces, the Primarchs would be gold for that. You know, they're literally icons in the universe. And there's Primarchs. I remember when I was a kid, like, I'd get off the bus home from school, and me and my mate would just stand and argue about which Primarch could beat up the other Primarchs. You know.
Wow, nice.
It was that kind of stuff.
So for your money,
I was Lionel Johnson all the way. I was edgelord. Like,
you're on the side of the line.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, the two power armor armies I have are Death Guard and Blood Angels, so I'm inclined to. But here's the thing: Sanguinius just died.
Yeah.
Like, got killed by Horus. So we know for a fact that he doesn't win it.
No.
Because Horus is in that mix as well. And I don't have an awful lot of faith in I can't remember his name now. Mortarion. There we go. Mortarion going all the way.
No.
In the Primarch battle.
No, I think your big names are the ones that are going to kind of get up there to the end, aren't they? You know, they're the ones that are going to sort of push through to the last seed.
I'll back Leman Russ. There we go. I'll go with Leman Russ.
Go for Leman Russ. I mean, Leman Russ has got the savagery on his side.
Exactly.
Definitely. I mean, the thing is, like, I don't know if you ever read like any of the Horus Heresy stuff or the Primarch stuff. Like, every single one of them is painted as like such a badass. Like, it gets to the point of like, you know, ridiculousness. Like, I actually read the Leman Russ ones, and I remember when I was younger, I would read all the codexes like religiously, and like read all the backstories, you know, about what the Primarchs had done and things, and they're just they're fan servicey, you know, they're just so powerful. It's like a kid writing a fan fiction, you know, and then he beat all these people, and he beat these people as well, and he beat that guy. Who's that guy? He beat him too. You know, it gets to ridiculous levels. So having them kind of duke off is ridiculous in itself, but Lionel's gonna be the winner for me. If I had to go down on it.
Fair enough. Right here. There is one last thing to talk about, and they teased it in the preview and then revealed it a matter of days later, which is a weird move, but alright, you do your thing, Games Workshop. We're getting, for Christmas, a new Red Gobbo miniature.
Yeah,
he is riding a squig with reindeer's horns, and he's chucking a stick of dynamite painted like a Christmas present, and it's amazing.
Yeah. No, I always liked the Christmas models. They were always one of my favourites. They're a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. It's nice though, because in the reveal article they actually show the original Red Gobbo miniature as well, which still looks pretty good given that it's like 20 years old at least.
Yeah, I had that. I had the original Red Gobbo because I played Rebel Grots in
Gorkamorka.
I don't know where that model ever ended up, unfortunately, which is a shame.
Oh, he's nice. He's a nice model.
He's a classic for a reason.
Yeah.
And on that note,
yes. Thank you very much for listening, guys. And until next time, take care.
bye.
Bye.